Scooby-Doo, here's the clue. For some of you that might wonder, how does Ra put his stuff together? Where does the nanospherical material gets its charge from? How long does the charge hold? So I have a few videos. One is from 2010 when I visited my friend who built the prototype of the King's Chamber. I'd love to call it the Ascension Chamber in Bavaria, where I was allowed to film and to record and to publicize that on YouTube. So you will see basically the photonic collector and emitter charger shooter as in a photonic cannon. Sounds kind of violent. And I explain a few things that I've built, that what the sand has inspired in me to bring forth. And I'll share that with you so you have an idea and a review of the inventions and the influence and where's it all coming from and where does it all come together. And I'm in the process of building the next level chamber here, so I don't have to wait for the long process to order the material to distribute in my inventions to make them actually tick. This is the magic. Also is what the my favorite psychic said, is that the consciousness of the material that I'm working with changes into an Arcturian type frequency. That is it adds other aspects that people report, and you can read that in the testimonial. So I hope you enjoy when I show you a little bit tales from the flip side. Okay, introducing an original power that emanates the same energy that the pyramid inside the King's Chamber is producing, photonic energy coming from the shooter that you have seen upstairs, which we'll get to later. Here's the guy that built the prototype, Heinz, our buddy, and he allowed us to film the chamber, and I'll show you the magical treats of the chamber as my partner who's holding the cam. Ray is following me into the photonic chamber. Inside, you can see the room is shielded with foil that reflects and keeps the light inside of the station, so nothing escapes the room. Let's come to the shooter system. The ones that you've seen in glass. We have 6 shooters shooting the ionic.
3 for munition and 3 for lights.
Okay, 3 lights and 3 again. Come again. 4
Ion.
Ions.
For ion. Okay.
Ions. These are for ions, and this is for light. And then we have down here. Tape this. The cheese, and that is what had me. It mummified. There's no mildew on it, it doesn't rot. It's been here probably for a few weeks, and smells good. It's completely in shape. It's baffling. Like I'm saying, the world is asleep. We got the magic right here. It's working. And this was an example of the photonic chamber.
Yeah.
Photonic ionic chamber.
Yeah.
And this is a prototype, not finished yet. Later on, color therapy can be applied and sounds, and the ionic input for the system enables the body to intake much more healing power, and everything is amplified. As I'm in this room, I feel like a cold shower in my back. My aura is kind of cold.
Yeah.
Energy is stacked up. My pineal gland is pumping, my cerebral is pumping, I'm really up. It's like electric current running down my face. And even when I leave the room, it stays a while within my system before it dissipates. And working with these light technologies, you have to be light, because if you of a lesser light, you detox to a point that you have to run to the bathroom, puke, or you feel sick for a couple of days, or whatever flus, whatever you have will come out. And basically what we did back in the days building the pyramids, we put in a chamber, creating the same energy that the pyramid is creating within this chamber, and I'd like to call it the King's Chamber. And this is the future. The future is here, and the business is in photonic, in Lakesh, and Namaste. Let's give you a little bit of rough of how my story begins, actually, with the idea of putting crystals in a containment to activate the light body. Then furthermore, I had the idea, inspired by the Egyptian jet, to put that device, which is called the Raki, into, how do you say, more of a greater picture of what this is to become. So I don't stop thinking here, I added the hologram, the jet, kind of like the Earth Pillar or Osiris backbone, as an energy device, because I was under the impression from my visions and how my mind puts things together that this somehow must be put to work. Also, while I had that vision, I looked at another device, which was the warp core from Starship Enterprise. So I was thinking, if I can put a crystal substance into a shooter that would somehow attract the energy, bring it in, and bring it to the 22 arcana. Mayas have 21, but the 22nd is actually the observer. Out here, shoot it up to a rhinestone, as in reflecting all colors of the rainbow. I'll have my first idea of a free energy device, actually. But furthermore, I said, let's not stop there. This invention is going well and it's going fine. And I had this crazy idea, what if I, and this was inspired way back when I had a cartoon illustrated by my friend Mashindo Kurumba, where I wanted something like a world energy device that would actually take over the grid. When I find that cover, it'll be shown in that cover. Basically an energy wave, planetary frequency, or the core frequency of the sun, stored in a very high light spectrum. Me already being influenced by photons and photonic substance and what photons do, I was thinking, okay, if I can put cosmic conscious, you can see this is cosmic writing. I had the idea. Again, I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, people feel the effects, but I might be playing myself like an idiot. So I thought, because this was an attempt to attach that to my fuel line, actually, thinking, okay, maybe this cell, which now is called the Ra cell, can help me do something to the fuel, and I would not know what the outcome would be. Well, the idea was conceived 2009. You can see that in my video that I uploaded, actually I think 2011, where I speak about the possibilities and where we can go with this energy. Simply light stored in a containment and giving that light a direction. So furthermore, I thought, well, if I put it in a bigger containment and have something like unconditional love and gratitude and stuff written on it, there's going to be more an effect. which still failed. It was galvanized. The photons were not transported the way I wanted them to be transported, until I put something like this in my car, and people in the car started feeling it. But I was thinking, okay, maybe if this is just felt but it doesn't hit my car yet, well, what's the inspiration of it having having an influence on the field of the car? So I went further with my inventions, and had developed like a light transducer receiver interface, where I used actually the code of the Mayan calendar and the hexagonal principle of the human cell and the quantum physicality of molecules, and my cosmic writing that I channeled in a way of how to bring energy into the device with this significant substance. And I created this, and had it all logged and all recorded and everything on video, just in case somebody would want to steal or run with my idea, which is not unoriginal. The Russians been working with that stuff for quite some time. How certain fields have influence on certain, how you can say, areas. Well, the final process then was I found an idea to put the substance in a device, stainless steel, and I sealed it and attached it to my fuel line. This is called a Ra cell. We will also have a bigger one. That's actually based on the idea of a mixture between, you can say, my key, the warp core design, which completely, looks different than this. They had back then dilithium crystals. I was thinking, okay, what has a high light capacity? It's nanotechnology, nanospherical quartz sand. So this was actually a success. So I turned my car from a 19 miles per gallon into a 27 miles per gallon car with this, and and all my friends and my fans that helped me assist in this matter to create more, helped me to create. This is a bigger one. This is for a semi truck. I have a friend already riding his truck. He wants actually more. That's the bigger version of the Ra cell, where I put the nanospherical substance that I programmed with a certain sequence, and add a plasmic liquid that I have created with a simple technique of how to influence liquids. And it has an information that cannot be measured by any machine, not yet. Maybe we will invent machines at some point that will do that, and this is going to be like for semi-trucks. And since the consciousness, as I detected, is kind of slow in accepting and believing, it's basically like I'm shipping these out, and when people have results, they pay. And as an exchange for me inventing this is also a little documentary of what I did in the past and how I put that together. I mean, can you believe I started with this filled with regular crystals that didn't have enough light, you can say, potency to actually influence my car. I don't even know why I had this idea, just to attach it to a fuel line, hoping it would do something, thinking like you are the greatest idiot or you are a genius. And like I said, this is a put together of many ideas, looking at many sciences like Tesla, Reich, Rife, and I'm in the electronics, but then I went into photonics, photons, metals, orgone. How does that travel through the air? How does that influence other structures and molecules? And then from there, actually, I realized, okay, I have something here. And this was a little short explanation of the evolution of the key leading into the Ra cell, which will be bigger. From when that catches ground, actually, and I find out how to fund it in a bigger way, and get out in a how do you say, get it out on a larger scale. I will attempt to turn this into electricity by using a 72-degree pyramid and a staff that will be based on that cell, seeing if I can create kind of like a zero field, meaning like the idea is like the higher this frequency is, the less the duality and distortion waves have actually an influence on regular technology. When you can do that, well, technology around these things changes. Dimensionality aspects change. It sounds like really, really fantastic, but it actually takes place. And I wanted to show you what I had first here was basically it encased, and it was a flow through mechanism that I would send the fuel through here, and I had a mirror chamber with my blessings, and it would actually result in the fuel savings. Also, we have realized, which is what I was told by the being that produces actually the sand that has this highlight capacity, who has copywritten his license, his deal, and also with me because he believes in what I do, is that when somebody stole it or tried to run with the idea, it lost its function. Meaning the fuel savings will cease to exist, they will no longer work the minute you steal or you attach ill intent to it, because this is conscious technology. And that reminds me of an urban legend, you can say, if you find it on Wikipedia. I don't know, I heard that somewhere in a discussion about Tesla, that Tesla built generators that worked, and when co-workers or people on assignment built these generators, they didn't pick up. Again, they were in Tesla, and it has to do with conscious technology. Also, there's a story about this community. You can investigate that yourself. They still exist in Switzerland, in the Alps. They were running their community on a generator, kind of a little bit of a Tesla template, which was a spinning wheel with magnets, and it provided electricity for the village. So somewhere around the end of 70s or late 80s, I might be lying with the year, okay, prosecute me if you will, they allowed the non-believers to look at the generator. And I'm truly in resonance with that story as I heard it and read it. I don't even know the title of that book because I've been reading these materials since I was like 11, 12 years old. Anyway, so you in your mind form, if you have 100 non-believers, just to give you a sum here, looking at a generator that unbelievably works according to the law of physics as they have learned them. Guess what happened to the generator after 2 months and non-believers coming in there saying it's a hoax, that can't be real, there must be hidden wires. Well, the generator stopped working, and the community decided, okay, this is no longer for show for non-believers, because you're distorting the field actually of the belief system that we don't need to be convinced, we know it works. It took the generator, you can say, I think 2 to 3 months before it started working again and picked up again to actually bring back the energy that was the electricity that that village ran on. So meaning actually your belief system in the quantum field has an influence on what actually functions. So the trick here is, what I'm trying to do with these devices is develop a light potency and a frequency that is so high that I'm past the threshold of non-belief. So the belief system is not required, nor does it have any functionality in that dimension. Meaning if you project on a lower realm, which a lot of people don't know, we're all projecting every day. It's like a psychic war, subliminal. We don't even know. You wish somebody hates, you wish somebody this and that. We have to be in control and understand what we do to each other. So I believe in my heart, when we get together and form things that make sense and override the threshold, and I'm thinking it begins by 10 to the 15th light potency. What do cells do? What do cell mechanisms do? How does the RNA communicate? How does the intracellular communication take place in the body? How many impulses are being sent from one cell to another? 100,000 in less than a second. That means when your light quotient is actually accurately functioning. That means uninfluenced. Also, when tapping into the Ormus field, you have to check my Ormus video, they have realized that if your nerve and cell structures are nourished by a EMF protected and shielded substance that is a super mineral that the body learns and trains itself again to produce, because the brain contains Ormus, it creates something like a Meissner field. And I am assuming here, this is like a hypothesis, that the Meissner field must be beyond 10 to the 15th, even higher, probably 10 to the 23rd. That is the light factor that I'm dealing with, and this is when the fuel started responding, even the viscosity of oil and the clarity of oil. that when this Meissner field is created as a light field, you are basically somewhat like you can say like a Jesus particle, and you don't need a Large Hadron Collider to find that out, because a Large Hadron Collider cannot influence a car to change its molecule structure so it would save fuel. Understand, 30 million or billions of dollars in these big devices and this big energy that is based on duality, based on parasitic influence, cannot solve the equation of finding free energy. So I'm thinking I'm onto something here. So witness the progress. I'm doing this for my video log and prior use. It's already being sold. I'm not worried. Nobody has really problems. Only if people attach it to the wrong part of the fuel line. If it's the air vent, sometimes the car is irritated and doesn't know how much air to actually add to the combustion when it's chip controlled. So you have to find out what's the sweet spot of your car, and then you will actually see how this works. So these are the you can say this is the Frankenstein assembly of the power drive that at some day shall power the world. And in the closure, I'd like to say that I had a dream that I'm at a table and I'm on a ship and I have all races in front of me. All the races you can imagine are all sitting at a table talking about the main problem is energy consumption and how is energy shared and how can we end the wars. And that goes way, way, way back, probably millions of years. Maybe that's our story. This is just as an inspirational insight, not as a creative, fictitious idea. So I'm introducing an energy source, which is a crystal of light that hovers above the table. And I'm sharing it with all the races. I'm telling them we must end the wars, that this is senseless, that these ways of losing vessels or consciousness getting splintered and us having to learn the process of becoming galactic citizens and us falling over and over as in the radiogenesis of a program, of a loop, of a time loop that we're stuck in. We have a possibility to get out of it and change that. We maybe did that before, we may be misused. And then again, by misuse, the crystal will shut down, the lights will turn off, and nothing will work for you if you have ill intent or greed, or the exchange doesn't go to the originator who brought in the sequence or the frequency. So this is all channeled and or streamed, as I'm not a professional channel, I would not call it that. I would say I'm a data streamer. I see things and I scribble it down and I put it on a piece of paper, and then I try to make it work. I dream silly things and crazy things, and once I have a physical resonance, then I have the proof, and a belief system is no longer required. Consciousness is a little bit of a dinosaur to actually understand what I am doing. People came and tried to actually steal and rob, but that doesn't work either, because if people manifest in a negative universe, and everything will work against you when you're going there, especially surrounding yourself with these materials. Like in ancient Egypt, you have to embody the material. You have to be as clear and pure and vital as what you represent. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of an insight of where we're going. I want to show you a little bit more of stuff and proof of how this works. And the usual, I'll see you on the flip side. Peace out.